This is David from www.15inlaptopscreens.com. I have put together a 14 step-by-step instructions video on how to replace a laptop screen. The reason being, there are buyers of laptops who constantly get in touch with us and ask us how to replace a laptop screen. Now, the thing is, it's quite easy to replace a laptop screen if you're handy with a screwdriver and you have the confidence you can do it. Again, it doesn't matter if you own a pristine Sony Vaio or if you own a Toshiba. Replacing the screen on almost any laptop is very much the same procedure. Now let's start with step one. Step one is to unplug the power supply from your laptop. Step two is to remove the battery from your laptop. The reason why you need to do this is that sometimes you can damage the motherboard, I should say, if you do not remove the battery. Now, I know that there are some laptops that does not allow you to take the battery out. In other words, there isn't a clip underneath the laptop to facilitate the removal of the battery. Well, if your laptop is like that, then all I can say is there's nothing you can do about that. Let's move on to step three. Step three, you need some tools. You need a standard Phillips head screwdriver, you need a small Phillips screwdriver, and you need a Stanley knife or something similar. Now, as far as this small Phillips screwdriver is concerned, now this is going to be very similar to the screwdriver that an assistant would use at a PC store to remove the back of the laptop. You'll also need a small dish or a container. Now let's go on to step four. Step four, well, you place your laptop on a clean and flat work surface. Step five, you hold the Stanley knife and press it between the small space between the display bezel and each stud on the face of the display. Now you remove all the studs from the face of the display. You need to remove the studs, otherwise you will not be able to get to the screws. Now, when you are prizing away the studs, be very careful not to press too hard. In fact, you don't really need to press too hard, just a little bit firm, and all the studs should come away. After removing all the studs, you'll see the head of all the screws that holds laptop screen firmly to the display bezel or the frame. Now, with a standard size Phillips screwdriver, unscrew all the screws that hold the bezel to the laptop screen. That was step 6. Step 7, with all the screws removed, now get hold of the Stanley knife and press it in between the slit of the front bezel and the back panel as if you are making a surgical incision. Now, obviously, if you own a pristine Sony Vaio, then you definitely will want to be very careful in prizing away the bezel from your laptop. Now, you may have to twist the knife a little bit, but just be careful not to twist it too much. You want to prize away the bezel from the back panel, and like I said, do not press too hard with a knife. In fact, the knife is just to start the process off. What you should be doing is to be using your fingers to assist the process. So don't use a knife to prise away. In fact, by using a knife, you are probably going to damage your laptop screen or even damage the bezel and make scratches, I should say, on your laptop. So step 8, as you prise apart the front bezel with a knife, use your fingers, as I said, to gently assist the process until the bezel is completely free from the display. Now, step 8, with the bezel prized away from the display, you should see a black screen which sits in a bracket held by about 8 screws that you will now need to remove. Now, if this screen comes with an inverter, the inverter is a small rectangular, if I can point to it down here, rectangular unit here at the base of the laptop screen, or the bottom of the laptop screen. Now you are going to unscrew about 8 screws which secure the laptop screen in a frame to the back of the display. Be very careful, because you don't need to press too, you may have to press a little bit firm, but don't press too hard, because these screws are very small and they are also quite soft. When you reach the point where you remove, say, the 7th screw, there are 8, and you're on the last one, the 8th one, what you need to do, like I do, is to use my thumb or finger just to press against the laptop screen, just to make sure that it doesn't fall out of the frame and onto your keyboard, because that could probably do a little bit of damage. You don't really want that to happen. Okay, once you've unscrewed all the 8 screws, just make sure that the laptop screen is placed downwards, and what you want to do now is to gently remove the video cable, which is, if I point to it, this is the video cable here. You want to gently remove the video cable from the screen. It is connected to the top. This has a 20 to 30 pins, and you basically want to remove that. As I said before, if your screen includes an inverter, you also need to remove the plugs that are fitted into the inverter. Now there are 2. This is a small one here that you need to prise away. Be very careful not to pull too hard, because there are wires which you don't really need, you don't want to loosen. The next thing you need to do after you've taken that plug out is to take the other one out, which is this one. And like I said, be very gentle. There's no need to be pulled too hard on these things. After you've done that, what you want to do is to put your screen now in place and start connecting the video cable back to your laptop. So you need to do this. Be very careful. Again, as in the video here, just bring the pin to the top of the screen, make sure it all lines up, and put everything back together. Now once the video cable is connected, and the inverter, if you do have one, is connected, cables I should say is connected, what you need to do now is to put the screen back into the frame, and you need to screw all those 8 screws, as in this case, this Aspiron XPS, there are 8 screws around this area here. There are 4 on this end here, and there are 4 on that end there. So you need to screw all those 8 screws back. Make sure the screen is firm, and once you do that, then you need to test the screen. Now what I suggest you do is to put the battery back, or the power supply, and just to make sure that the screen is working, and to make sure it is the correct resolution for your laptop. Now if it's not the correct resolution, you'll instantly know, because the screen will appear darker than the screen that was on it. Now if it is a much darker screen, then what you need to do is to contact the supplier and let them know that if they sent you a screen with a lower resolution and you need a screen with a higher resolution. Now once you have tested the screen and say the screen is fine, what you need to do now is to replace the bezel and replace all the screws that you took away from the bezel. Now once you've replaced all the screws, you can then replace all the studs, and this is very much a simple process. Now once you've done that, then you've basically completed the 14 steps I have on my list anyway, and there you are, your laptop is working fine again. And all I can say at this stage is congratulations. That's all you need to do to replace any laptop screen. Now this is, as I said, this is David from www.15inlaptopscreens.com.